In this video, I'm going to cover how to find the volume of a pyramid. And remember, volume is the amount of space that a 3D figure or object takes up. Now, when it comes to pyramids, we can use the formula 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. So whatever the base is, a rectangle, a square, a triangle, etc., use the correct formula to find that area and then plug the area of the base into the formula for the volume. Now, I do want to mention that you can also use the formula, the area of the base times the height, and then divide by 3, because multiplying by 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. Now, we'll talk about why we multiply by 1/3 or divide by 3 after number 1. Knowing why we do this will give us a better understanding of the formula. So let's jump into number 1, where we have a pyramid with a square base and then a height of 4 inches. So the first thing that we need to do is write out our formula. So volume equals 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. Once we have that, we can plug in. So volume equals 1/3 times the area of the base. Well, we have a square, so we can do 6 times 6 to calculate the area of that base. 6 times 6 gives us 36 times the height of 4. Now, I do want to mention we were able to calculate the area of that base using mental math. Don't be afraid to come to the side, though, in order to write things out or for a more difficult problem. So, for example, let's go to the bottom left where we have some room. We could have gone area equals a side length squared. Well, that's the formula for the area of a square. And then plug in side length of 6 squared, which means 6 times 6 gives us an area of 36 square inches. So again, don't be afraid to come to the side if you need to calculate something and then plug that area into the formula. So now we're ready to solve. 1/3 times 36 times 4. Now at this point, you can plug this all into a calculator and solve it all in one step, but I want to break it down step by step until we get to that final volume. Well, 1/3 times 36, that's going to give us 12. Times 4 to wrap things up here. So 12 times 4 gives us 48. And this is cubic inches for our unit of measure there. So volume equals 48 cubic inches for our final answer. Now, I do want to show you what the other formula looks like as well for number 1. So the area of the base times the height, and then divide by 3. So we have volume equals the area of the base times the height, and divide by 3. So let's plug in. Volume equals the area of the base was 36 times the height of 4, and divide by 3. So I'm running out of room there. I'm going to go to the side in order to solve this. So 36 times 4 gives us 144 divided by 3, and that's going to give us a final answer of 48 cubic inches. So we got the same answer either way as far as those two formulas. So multiplying by 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. Both of those are going to give us the correct volume. In this video, I'm going to cover how to find the volume of a cone. And remember, volume is the amount of space that a 3D figure or object takes up. Now, when it comes to cones, we can use the formula 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. That's the formula at the top left of the screen. But since the base of a cone is a circle, we can input the formula for the area of a circle into our volume formula to make it more specific. So the formula to the right at the top of the screen, we have 1/3 times the area of the circular base, pi r squared, times the height. Now we'll talk about why we multiply by 1/3 after we finish number 1. Knowing why we do this will give us a better understanding of the formula. So let's jump into number 1, where we have a cone with a base radius of 5 inches and then a height of 12 inches. And the first thing that we need to do is write out our formula. So volume equals 1/3 times the area of our base, so pi r squared since we have a circular base, and then times the height. Now I wrote out the formula a little different than how it's written at the top of the screen. That's okay because I'm still multiplying 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. It doesn't matter how you represent the multiplication, symbols or parentheses, as long as you're multiplying 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. So once we have our formula written, we can plug in our radius and height. So we have volume equals 1/3 times pi, our radius of 5, squared times the height, which is 12. Now at this point, we're ready to solve. So we can plug that into a calculator and we'll have the volume of that cylinder. I'm going to break it down or simplify it a little further though, until we get it in terms of pi, which means a number times pi. Then I'll calculate. So the first thing that we need to do is 5 squared. So volume equals 1/3 times, well, 5 squared means 5 times 5. That gives us 25 times pi, 25 pi, times 12. Now I put the 25 in front of the pi symbol because we simplified the area of the base and now we have it in terms of pi. And typically speaking, you'll put a number in front of pi when multiplying a number by pi. So we are ready to move forward here, and we have a couple of different ways we can do the next step. So one way, we can cross cancel or multiply 1/3 and 12, or we can do 25 times 12. I'm going to do 25 times 12, and that gives us volume equals 1/3 times, well, 25 times 12 is 300. And pi. So 1/3 times 300 pi. Now we have 1/3 times 300, or 1/3 of 300. That will give us 100 pi. And that's our answer in terms of pi. Now I'm going to calculate the exact volume by multiplying 100 times pi, and I'm going to use the pi button on a calculator. Now it's common practice to also use the rounded version of pi, 3.14. Both are correct, but know that answers will vary slightly depending on if you use the rounded version, 3.14, or the pi button on a calculator. So again, I'm going to use the pi button, and we get volume equals 314, and I'm going to round the decimal to the hundredths place, so we get 16 hundredths. So 314 and 16 hundredths, or 0.16, and this is cubic inches because we're talking volume. So that's our final answer right there.